Hi, this is DK from Grand Space Kitty Studios, and for this bite-sized tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate exactly how to set up your polygonal model for modeling. So from last time, you can actually see that I have my concept art in the background, and Blender provides me the basic cube in the middle of the scene. So we're gonna go ahead and actually use this basic cube to start modeling our character from. Now, to select something in Blender, you right mouse click it and you can see an orange outline of the object that you selected. So this is a light here, for example. So if I right mouse click this, you can actually see that it's highlighted in an orangish color, or precisely an orange color. So I'm going to right mouse click this cube, and right now this cube is in a mode called object mode. So what object mode does is that, well, you can manipulate the object, but you don't want to actually manipulate the object. We want to manipulate the components of this object. And so to do that, you press tab. Now when I press tab, you can see that the whole cube actually turned orange, which means all of the components of this cube are selected. Now what we want to do is we want to cut this cube in half. Now, at the lower part of the screen here on the status line, you can see a line of text here that actually says edit mode in the drop down. So with that cube selected, if I click on this drop down, I can go to the various modes that this object currently supports. So I can go back to object mode here, and I can go back to edit mode there. So this is a handy and convenient way of knowing which mode that you're actually on. Now tab is just a keyboard shortcut that I've used to make things faster, so I don't have to look around, go to that drop down menu and actually change mode. So in object mode, again, I can tell it's object mode because of this status line drop down. I can just press tab and I am in edit mode. Now in edit mode, everything appears to be selected, so everything is orange again. So to deselect something in Blender, remember right mouse clicking actually selects something in Blender. Now A is a keyboard shortcut, it's a toggle, and pressing A with nothing selected will select everything, like I'm doing right now. But if I press A again, it will deselect everything. So I've deselected everything here, and I am going to perform an operation in this cube. Now I want to split this cube in half. So I'm going to position my cursor here on the y-axis. The y-axis or axis is this green line here. There is another line here that's red. That is the x-axis. Now at the lower left hand corner of this view, which is called a 3D view, there is also a representation of how I'm moving the view and the axis orientation when I do so. So from the previous video, just middle mouse clicking and moving the mouse will actually rotate the view. So shift and middle mouse click will pan the view, and control and middle mouse click will dolly the view in or out, or zoom the view in and out. Now to split this cube in half, I am going to press a keyboard shortcut again, and this keyboard shortcut is Control plus R. So that's R for running. So Control R. On a Mac, you can also use Command R. It does basically the same thing. And you can actually see this purple or pinkish line that actually goes around the cube. So this is actually a cut that you're about to perform on the cube, and that line represents where that cut is going. Now I want to position the cut of the cube here on or along the y-axis of the cube. Now I can click it, left mouse click, and you'll notice that the cut has now been done on the cube, and it is currently selected. It's an orange color, and I can drag it around. Now I want it to be dead center along the y-axis on the cube. So I'm going to press 0, and that'll put it dead center on the y-axis of the cube. And then I can press enter, which will make the cut so. So see, we've actually split the cube in half. Now we want to delete half of the cube. Now there are a few ways of doing this. The first way is, right now this cube is composed of 3 components in edit mode. So those are the vertices, the edges, and the faces. Now these are kind of self-explanatory. Vertex is where 2 edges meet. An edge is composed of 2 vertices, and a face is 3 vertices or more that forms a plane. Now I can just select the faces that I want, which is about half of the cube along the y-axis. So to select it, again, right mouse click, and you can press shift to actually add to your selection. And then I can just hit delete, or in Blender, to delete you actually have to press X, and it's going to ask me what I want to delete, and I want to delete faces. And I now have half a cube. Now I want half a cube because I'm going to add a modifier to this cube that will actually make my modeling process a lot easier. Now I'm going to press tab, and you can see from the status line I'm back in object mode, and I'm going to expand this sidebar just a bit. Now I'm looking for this icon that kind of looks like a wrench. Now this is called the modifier panel. So there's a wrench icon right there. It's kind of small. And then you go, if you left click on it, you will go to the modifier panel. And I'm going to click on this drop down. And what I'm looking for is the mirror modifier underneath the generate area. So I'm going to select mirror, and you can see that the cube is now whole again, which is kind of weird since we deleted half of the cube. So what the mirror modifier is doing is that it is copying the parts of the cube that remain, and then flipping it over on the other side of the axis that you cut the cube from. Now by default, Blender actually does this on the x-axis. So this is why I cut it along the y, so I can delete everything on the right side of the y-axis, which is the other side of the x-axis. I know it's kind of confusing, but you know, basic maths in grade school teaches you that. And if I press tab right now to go back to edit mode, I can actually see the mirrored part, which is that part right there. And you can see that it's kind of shaded differently. Now, I might want to be able to modify that mirrored side as well. So on the modifier panel, on that mirror modifier that we added, we need to hit a few options. So the first option is this icon here, which is adjust edit cage to modify a result. So doing that will allow us to actually modify the mirror of the cube in edit mode. And the second one is called clipping, which is an option of this modifier. And I'm gonna check that thing right there. Now this will allow me to do this. If I do anything on any side of this cube, it'll be mirrored on the opposite side on the x-axis. This is incredibly useful because this means that you're just doing half of the work and you get immediate visual feedback about that half of the work that you're actually doing on the other side. So for example, if I press Control Tab, the mesh select mode will pop out and I want vertex selection mode. And if I select a vertex on one side, you'll notice that it's automatically, the selection is mirrored on the other side. And there's this gizmo, which is called the translate gizmo, that pops out on that vertex that I've just selected. So if I move it on the z-axis, which is colored blue, you'll notice that the other side is also moving along the z-axis as well. And if I grab it at the center to move it around relative to the camera, you can actually see that the other side on the x-axis is doing the same thing as well. Now this is incredibly important for our purposes. So this ends this pretty complex bite-sized tutorial. So please support our Kickstarter, Lunatrix, the Knights of Artemis on Kickstarter again. And you can get to that page by visiting our webpage at www.grandspacekittystudios.com. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next bite-size walkthrough where I actually start to model our concept art right here.